When it's put in a negative light to them, they'll see other things in a negative light. They will see the relationship between mom and dad in a negative light because it's like, okay, they'll think that either dad is the bad guy because mom is hurt. Regardless of whether we want to look at it like this or not, kids gravitate to the mother. Assalamu alaikum, peace. It's Nyla, Coach Nyla, co-founder of Outstanding Personal Relationships, as well as co-author of Let's Talk Polygyny Uncensored. And this video is one in a series of videos that I titled, What About the Children? What About the Children in Polygyny? It's going to be something on the lines of that. Because we get a lot of questions about the children in polygyny. What about the children? I mean, when people see us, they usually see me, my co-wife, and our husband. Many who follow us know that there are, it's like 12 children among us. So even though, you don't see them all the time and you don't see them in the videos, some people have seen some videos with a minute, some people have seen pictures that we've taken and posted and everything like that. So it's not just about the three of us, it's a family dynamic. And children are involved. So we've gotten questions on how do the children deal with it. Not only how do the children deal with polygyny, especially in a heavily monogamous society, or I won't say really an anti-polygyny society, but the way it looks, even the way it looks online, the way it looks in society when you're out and about and everything like that, it really does look like it could be an anti-polygyny society. So how do you raise children in that? How do you get them to understand the dynamic? We did get a question that came through of a sister who stated that polygyny in the future seems like it would be a great idea to her, but she is stuck on how do I make sure I care for my children that I already have, and how do I get them to understand the dynamic of polygyny? And in this video, I'm going to talk about that. This is not really about getting them to understand the dynamic. It's really getting them to know that they can come to you when they need to come to you, if they have any questions, if they have any concerns. But also, not only that they can come to you, but they also have to know that you don't have all the answers, but you will work to figure it out. But how are they safe? How do they feel confident and safe enough to come to you? It's how you display, your energy. Sometimes, a lot of times, not even sometimes, kids pick up on your energy. Shoot, my goodness, I don't want to say all the time. Kids pick up on your energy. If you got bad energy, they'll feel it. And depending on what type of child they are, what type of personality type, they're either going to absorb that energy, or they're going to try to get away from that energy, stay away from that energy, or it's just a lot of different things that can possibly happen. And it's not always good, especially if it's negative energy. It's just not. And as the parents, as the adults, even if you have adult children, you're still the parent. You're still the person that they still look up to, that they still trust with their feelings, and whether they show it to you or express it to you or not, they look to you to have the answers, or they look to you to be like adult enough or mature enough to be able to handle certain situations. Not realizing that we're human beings and we go through our stuff. My son, who will be 22 in October, inshallah, my oldest son, I guess I should say, he told me that just recently. He said, I don't see, I see you as my umi. That's what they call, the moms. Well, that's what my children call me, and my co-wife's children call her umi. And he said, I see that you are a person that had struggles, that had that have feelings, that go through things, that have to figure out stuff. Is you're not just, he said, even though you're like my super mom or superwoman to me, I know that you went through stuff, that you've gone through stuff. You're a human being, and it's okay for you to make mistakes and all these other things. So that's a beautiful thing. But this is my child that can still come to me about anything, and he knows that. He can call me up, he can come and see me, he can do anything like that and ask me the stuff that he wants to ask me, even if it could be a hard conversation that we may have. And that feels so good to me. Why can't he do that? Because I gave him that confidence. I gave him that space. I allowed him to be able to come to me without I told him there'll be times where I may not be happy with all the stuff that you come to me about, but you can't come to me. I may not have all the answers, but you can come to me. And not only did I say that, I demonstrated that to him. I demonstrate that to all my children, my bonus children as well. So, I want them to know that they could come to me. So doing that when it comes to polygyny, it's really interesting because it's just that you still have to look at the bigger picture and be intentional when it comes to what you want your family to look like. And I'm not saying that it's like, okay, well, I don't want polygyny, so that's what I want it to look like. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, do you want it to be successful? Do you want your children to be well-rounded? Do you want your marriage to be happy and blissful? Do you want these things? And in order to have these things, it may not always be the way that it may not always come in the way that we want it to come. However, we got to be emotionally mature enough. We have to be confident enough to say, I'm going to ask myself the hard questions. I'm going to give myself the not just the hard answers, but the necessary answers. And I'm going to take the necessary route that I need to take in order to get there. And when you do those things and your children see that, they know that they can, they know that they're in a safe place. We'll just say that. They know that they are in a safe place. Excuse me. So when it comes to a single parent, let's say that who is looking to get into polygyny, and they're wondering, how do I do this thing? How do I prepare my children for this dynamic? You prepare them by explaining to them what the dynamic looks like. Meaning that what I did, being a single mother coming into polygyny, was that I prep my children for the new dynamic of having a male figure around that will be instructing them, that will be that they will have to go through to get the things that they want, and not only go through for that as well as discipline and anything like that, but also they will have this person another person that they can come to, another person that will see things in a different way than their Umi sees it. So it'd be that type of thing. And that was just having that conversation on a number of different occasions, and asking them if they had questions about it, asking them how they feel about it, and also allowing them to see me in a good light where they don't have to try to figure out, what mood is she going to be in today, or is this a good time? Is it not a good time? I mean, there's times we're going to have that, but I know that my children won't have to wonder that because I'll let them know. I've always done that. That was actually a thing that I was intentional about. If I'm having a bad day or a bad moment or a character building moment or whatever, I decide to call it that time. I'll let them know. I'm like, today is not the day. I'm not really feeling it. Or I'll say, look, I'm not feeling, don't play with me today because I'm not in the mood or certain things like that. Or I'm like, you know what, give me some time. I'm going to go meditate, or give me some time. I'm going to take a nap. I said, because you know what, I may need to start over. And I've done that. Like, I tell my kids the same thing. I'm like, oh, you look like you're in a bad mood. You may need to go to sleep and start over. And I do the same thing. And I tell them that. So they never have to wonder. And because of that, they know that they can come to me because they know that I'm going to be honest with them, period. I have friends that told me the same thing. They was like, you know what? You may say things that I may not want to hear, but I know I can come to you because I know you're going to say the things I need to hear. So you do that with your children. You make sure they have this safe space. And when you are not feeling it, when you don't have the answers, let them know that, and they're not going to look at you in a different light because you have feelings. They're not going to look at you in a different light because you don't know all the answers. They're going to look at you in a different light if you display them in an immature way. That is the thing. If you're consistently doing things on an immature level, your children will start to see that and be like, you know what? Okay, I can get that from, me as a kid, or, when they get older, as young adults and everything like that, when they start seeing things like that, or when they start understanding it, or they remember it, those are things that are going to not sit well with them. And then it will make the transition harder. It will make their trust in you a little shaky. I've seen it happen. So that's, why I can I can really say it as, like as a confident statement, because I've seen it happen. So when it comes to that, you want to make sure that you are very intentional with the things that you do. If you are not, and I was saying that as an incoming wife that has children, if you are a initial wife and you have children, and polygyny, the idea of polygyny is difficult, or the transition into polygyny is difficult. It depends on, it's a way that you can do it where your children can understand it without, I'm gonna say it just how I'm gonna say it, without being manipulative. It's like sometimes I try to be very careful of the way I say certain things, because I sit there and say, well, I'm an incoming wife. And when people hear me, they hear me as an incoming wife instead of hearing me as a coach. I've coached many women, regardless of being an incoming wife or not. I've been married before polygyny, married and divorced. So single mom twice, all these different things. So I've been through a number of things, oldest of 9. So I didn't, incoming wife is not the title that I just hold, strong to, that's just what it is. It's so many different things that I've been through, and there's so many things that I've coached on because of me experiencing it through other people's eyes as well. So I want to be careful, because sometimes I ruffle people's feathers when I say that. However, I'm just gonna have to call it, I'm just gonna have to say it the way it is, without being manipulative. Is a way that you can do that. Is a way that you can discuss things with your children without being manipulative. Because one of the main things is you want your children to know that you are a human being and you do have emotions, but you also want to be mature enough so your children know that, they're not looking at things as being, they're not looking at polygyny as a bad thing. Like, this is a bad thing that happened, that polygyny happened, and so it destroyed my mom, or destroyed my parents' relationship, or things like that. Because when they see it that way, everything else starts to look very bleak and bad for them. They will start to see things in a negative light. When it's put in a negative light to them, they'll see other things in a negative light. They will see the relationship between mom and dad in a negative light, because it's like, okay, they'll think that either dad is the bad guy because mom is hurt. Regardless of whether we want to look at it like this or not, kids gravitate to the mother. This is the person that carried them. This is the person that's like their food source. This is the person that's, that wake up in the middle of the night majority of the times, to make sure that they're okay, and they're watching over them, and, all these other things, So this is a person who they're around a whole lot. And so they usually gravitate to mom. So if mom is feeling a certain way and mom is feeling negative, it's going to look bad on dad. And then it's going to look bad on anybody else, or incoming wife or whoever. It's like, I don't want to meet her because she caused these issues and these different things like that. And it's not necessarily a good thing, because if later on they see that, dad wasn't the bad guy, that, this incoming person then, caused this strife, it's going to look bad on mom. Because it's like, well, mom, why didn't you handle it better? Because you were an adult. So if that being the case, you want to make sure that if you are feeling some type of way, write it in your journal. If it's like a negative feeling or anything like that, write it in a journal, write in a letter, get it out, meditate, whatever the case may be, and discuss the problems or challenges. I guess I won't say problems, challenges with your children, where it comes to the point of saying, this is a different dynamic, and sometimes change can cause some challenges, and sometimes we are not comfortable with change, and maybe I'm not as comfortable with change, but I'm working on that. So kind of discussing things like that. So when they see those type of things, and when they're going through change in any area in their life, whether it's in polygyny, getting to know their co-wife, or getting to know their bonus mom or stepmom, or getting to see the dynamic between their parents, any type of thing like that, they understand, like, okay, well, this is a change, this is a challenge, this is a thing. Let me go to, my parents to tell them about it, or let me let them know, because they've been through change. They are going through changes. They're, working through it. Maybe they can help me through it. To me, I feel like those things bring the bonds of family together, more together than tearing them apart. So being honest, being intentional, and really being mature are the things that we must display in order to get our children to transition properly into the polygyny dynamic. And that also helps us transition, because I've seen a number of different comments where they said, well, my children are torn and devastated because their dad is not here, and all these different things. And I'm like, has there ever been a time when he wasn't there, regardless of if it was polygyny or not? Well, outside of polygyny, was there a time when he wasn't there? If there was a time that he wasn't there when it wasn't polygyny, how did you explain that to them? So there are going to be times when dad is not there, regardless of if it has to do with polygyny or not. How are you explaining this thing to your children? And are you explaining it in a way that is going to allow them to be stronger in it, that they're going to grow in it, and that they're going to be mature in it? Or is it going to allow them to be immature, or is it going to cause some traumatic experiences because of how we are putting it out there to them? So inshallah, that gave you some insight and helped on how to transition children into polygyny. And if you have any other questions, make sure you put them in the comments below. If you guys want us to do some other type of content, you have some other questions, some suggestions, put them down in the comments. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, make sure you are growing intentionally, loving fearlessly, and connecting on a higher level every single day. Inshallah, God willing, I will see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.
Here are 3 ways outstanding personal relationships can help you.
1 is by following us on our social medias. Follow us on IG at Outstanding Relationships, and on Facebook and YouTube at Outstanding Personal Relationships. And make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell.
Number 2, make sure you head over to outstandingpersonalrelationships.com and subscribe to the email list. From there, you will get downloads as well as updates, any and all updates. And you also get an update on the release of our new book, Let's Talk Polygyny Uncensored.
Number 3, if you are serious about polygyny relationships and really developing fulfillment and happiness, make sure you register for our Relationship Mastery Inner Circle, which is members only, which includes downloads. It includes access to us live on a weekly basis. So that's at outstandingpersonalrelationships.com/RM. We'll see you soon. Assalamu alaikum.
Peace.